Well, hi folks, and welcome into another edition of This Week in Pearl. I'm your host, Frank Hutton. Today we're going to go back under the dome with our Representative Gene Newman and Senate Pro Temp Dean Kirby. Going to talk about some really cool items that are, have passed out of the Senate and the House and gone into committee, and even one that's gone to the governor's desk. So we're going to talk about a lot of the things that they've gotten done this legislative session, including them talking about where the tax bill stands. So you don't want to miss any of that. So when we come back, we're going to get right into it. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Hi folks, and welcome back into This Week in Pearl, where we're going under the dome with my esteemed guest today, Senator Pro Temp Dean Kirby and Representative Gene Newman. Good morning.
Hi, howdy. How y'all doing?
So much to discuss, so much going on, so much to talk about.
27 days.
27 days.
It's 27 days and we are signing out.
You say that with such excitement that in 27 days.
Not that he's counting.
No, he's counting, right?
Things will actually slow up though after Wednesday? I think Wednesday is the deadline, isn't it, for getting bills on the calendar?
Yeah.
So you're going to see things slow down.
Or just get crazier.
Yeah, that's possible too. But everything, the conference committees and all will start meeting then.
Right.
On the things that we disagree on that are still alive. Mm-hmm. A lot of things we disagreed on aren't still alive.
Right. They're the second level of dead. They're not quite dead.
Yeah, they're just dead.
They're just dead. So for those of you that have been paying attention all year, there's dead, then there's dead. And then there's dead.
Dead is signing die.
That's it.
That's the last day.
Right, that's the last dead. But even then, there is some life support that it can get resurrected out
next year, not this year.
But not this year.
Well, only with a special session.
Yeah, only the governor can resurrect it at that point.
At the third dead level. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Okay, so one thing we were discussing off camera that we talked about and we talked about this last week, was your bill, the Dignity and Safety of Women, that passed from the House, then went to the Senate.
That's correct.
And it's now passed both chambers.
That is correct.
And has come out of committee and is headed to the governor's desk.
That's where it's gone.
And so refresh everybody on what that does.
House Bill 188 is the Dignity and Safety for Incarcerated Women. And it protects women in prison from having to have a male put into a cell with them or a male into their restroom facilities or anything else. So it does allow men to go in to do repairs and stuff like that, but other than that, men aren't to be in their prisons, inside the prisons with them.
And which is wonderful. And you said off camera to tell everybody that 10 minutes on the floor, no questions. How did this go down?
Well, actually, in committee, I'm on the corrections committee, and it was brought up. The chairman brought it up, explained it. Any questions? No questions. All in favor say aye. Boom. No one voted against it in committee. Went on the calendar. A few days later, we bring it up on the calendar. The chairman explains it. No questions. All in favor say aye. Boom. We have 51 senators right now because we have a vacancy from Jennifer Branning's seat. They
Right.
haven't had that election yet, so it was 51-0.
Wow.
So good bill. I appreciate Representative Newman doing it, and that one sailed through as fast as any bill we've had this year.
Amazing.
We got that bill passed in the second year, so it didn't take 3.
Didn't take 3, took 2. So this was definitely one of those 80-20 issues where 80% of the people wanted it.
Yes.
Yeah. We have 2 or 3 senators that ask questions on every bill. If it's on motherhood, they're going to ask a question.
But not this time.
Not on that. No questions. Everyone understood it. It was well written and
Yeah.
went through. Just slid right on. Let's put it that way.
So it's headed to the governor's desk
Yeah.
for his John Hancock, for his Tate Reeves.
And I can tell you, he's a very wise governor, and he's wise enough to know that if something passes with no questions and everyone voting for it, he does not want to veto that bill.
No, I would think not.
He better have a really good reason, because we will definitely override a veto on something like
On
that.
something like that.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. Well, one other little thing that kind of an offshoot from that did survive. We were discussing it. It didn't the Senate bill didn't survive in the House, but the House bill survived. Is the sex listed on your driver's license? Now that's still basically alive with you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure we must have that on the calendar, or either we've already passed. I cannot imagine that being an issue. I understand our bill, we passed it and sent it to them, but I'm sure you did. You passed the same bill, sent it to us. So I'm sure the chairman just got together and said, hey, there's going to be
'cause it's on the calendar.
duplicate. Yeah. So that won't be a problem.
I wouldn't think.
No.
That's about like the dignity and safety for women in
That's
prison.
right.
I mean,
That's
that's a pretty good one right there. All right, so where are we this week in negotiations on the tax bill? I know it's in conference, and I know
Well, it's actually not in
Oh, it's not in
conference.
conference.
It's not in conference yet.
Yeah.
It's simply, we passed the bill, they passed the bill,
Right.
and it's
And you're way
we're,
apart.
we're over here and they're over there, and
Right.
And I know that they're negotiating. I don't know what that means. I'm not part of that. That's I know that the chairman of appropriations in both houses and the chairman of ways and means, their finance, and the speaker's chief of staff and the lieutenant governor's chief of staff is in process of trying to negotiate something. I don't know what's going to happen with it. Anybody's guess is as good as mine. I hope they come out with something, but usually takes more than 1-2 years.
What's the old saying? Is it better to have a slice of a watermelon than the whole grape if you're hungry?
well,
And we're offering them the slice of the melon. We'll see what happens.
we'll see what happens. I know it's been very quiet. When do you think we see some actual movement on this?
What's the deadline? What's the deadline on appropriations? Isn't that?
I can't. It's like next week.
Yeah. So either the end of this week, or it may be Thursday. It may be next Tuesday, but I don't remember right offhand.
can't
But
remember either. I
anyway,
have to
when that
look at the
deadline
list.
comes, if we don't do something, then they'll both be dead.
Right.
Because the only thing that's happened is we passed one, sent it to them. They passed one, sent it to us. And as that one of them either got to live or one of them got to die, or
Sure.
both of them gonna die.
Right. We just don't know yet. But stay tuned. Stay tuned because it's being discussed.
Yeah, it's not dead. Let's put
Right.
it
It's
that
not the third dead, but it's on life support from what I'm understanding.
way.
Yes.
It is, and we're a little different on each of the issues. Whether it be the income tax, the sales tax, the gas tax, and
Whatever. We got different ideas, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, I have to say I'm not just sitting here on bated breath, but
we need to do what we can do, and what we have the votes to do.
right.
Trump said, I heard this morning that he said, be prepared for a recession.
Yes.
So you need to be careful what you do.
Now,
You know, the biggest concern that I have personally is what is the federal government going to do about Medicaid? Because
Right.
some of the ideas that I've heard talked about would really hurt Mississippi. I'm talking about it would take. I mean, the amount of money that we get from the federal government to run Medicaid is nuts and
substantial.
yeah, it's a lot of money, and it would really hurt us in a large way to lose a lot of that money. We'd have to completely revamp that program or do something different. And you know, the way the hospitals are already screaming because we didn't up it, you know,
Right.
they'd really be screaming if we had to start cutting it.
Yeah, we have a general budget of over $7 billion. Medicaid's larger than our general budget, counting the federal funds. that
Counting the
come in.
federal dollars.
Yeah, so you're
and,
right.
And this state is poor in health. We have a lot of obesity in this state. Kids are, you know, over on the obesity level. There's a lot of things that need to change. But you know, Trump said this weekend on Maria's show, not cutting Medicaid, not cutting Medicare, not cutting Social Security.
He said we weren't cutting Social Security or Medicare. He did not say we were not cutting Medicaid.
Yeah, there is a difference.
There's a big difference. One
Medicare
state-
is senior insurance. He
Yep.
said we are not cutting Medicare.
Medicaid
Medicaid
is, under the poverty level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a
Right.
different story. I don't think he intends to necessarily just whack it, but what he's talking about is sending that money straight to the states, taking the federal government out of it, and sending it in grants like to the states.
Sure. Like he wants to do with education. But
Right.
yes.
Same difference.
So wouldn't you rather be able to determine how to spend it instead of the government determining how to spend it?
If see the way it is right now, states like Mississippi get a larger portion of our Medicaid paid because we have so many people that are below the poverty level. Whereas, I mean, I can't remember the percentages, but just say we're getting 70% of it paid, and California's getting 50% of it paid. And that, you know, if we had to go to 50%, we can't afford that.
Sure.
We're gonna have to cut a whole bunch of people off the program.
Which we don't want to do.
Yeah, because to me, this is where my understanding the majority of the money spent on Medicaid is number one is nursing homes, number two is children. Or actually, it's number one is children. The amount of money that they spend on children, taking care of children. Number two is people in nursing homes, and then number three is people that are just
So the
poor.
CHIPS program
Yeah, CHIPS program.
is what you're talking about
Yes.
for the children.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't want to cut that.
No.
But we do want to make our state healthier. And I don't think we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Well,
To say-
we're trying to do the same thing Trump's doing and have been for the last few years. We want to cut out all the fraud.
Yes, let's cut out the waste and the abuse first.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
So anyway, that we don't because we don't know. It's kind of hard to just go in there and do away with the income tax completely and do all that stuff the way we're talking about doing it.
Sure. And I as citizen Frank, totally agree with that. I mean, I think, you know, this is one of those times where hearing all the arguments and the discussions in the federal level and on the state level, the clean CR that, you know, the Republicans are pushing in the House and Senate at the federal level, Trump is behind it. In my estimation, let's just fund the government like it is right now, fund Medicaid, let's not change anything, so that we can look at for fraud, abuse, and where we're wasting money. And then that gives us an entire year to work through figuring that out. I mean, that's where Frank sits on this.
Yeah.
Is that where you guys, I mean, I'm for tabling tax cuts this year in the state so that we can see how all of this from a 30,000 foot view is going to work through.
Yeah. So this one statement I'm fixing to make will make some people mad, and that's okay. But if we did anything out of this whole deal, we need to put the fuel tax on for the Department of Transportation. We've got to do something to fund that, and we're not funding it. So we need to increase fuel tax and get that done.
You know, I know we've said this before, but we're the second lowest in the nation on fuel tax.
On fuel tax, right. And you're talking a few pennies.
Only to Alaska.
But this is a consumption tax,
Right.
which
Yeah.
You don't, you know, and I know they argue about the trucks. I get that. I understand that. You know, but we really need to go ahead and do the fuel tax, and I prefer. I voted for the sales tax, but I actually prefer the excise tax. It's a straight deal. Everybody knows what they're dealing with. It's, you know, you can see it. And
their bill has 5%. We have 3 cents.
you're on the gallon and you're on the purchase.
right.
Yeah.
That's really where those two.
In addition to what we already
I think
have.
if that's all we were talking about, you could probably work that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they've tied it into this other, so I
Sure.
don't, you know, I'm hoping they'll just realize at the last minute that, you know, we still need to fix the roads. Let's pull that out and
So,
do something.
And we just don't have the votes. I can tell you right now, for the 1.5 cent sales tax, it's not there.
it's just not there.
It's not there.
But now
I mean,
not
even close.
Now the Federal Department of Transportation, which we get a lot of grant money from for infrastructure, I truly believe that Trump's going to want to do something on a federal level to rebuild bridges, roads, highways, things of that nature. Do you not see in a year some more grants coming out of Washington that will help our own transportation department?
You would think so, yeah.
Because I mean that is one of his big push is infrastructure. So my thinking is on pretty much all of this is let's just table it for 12. What does it hurt to just table it for another 10 months, and let's bring this up.
I'm figuring that's about where we are.
I think we were very close.
Why don't we just table all of this? Because everybody's for tax cuts, and we talked about this last time. But the Doge money and sending rebates, I'm not for that. Nobody wants that. It's all great, fine, and wonderful to talk about it, but no, I want to pay off debt. I want to lower interest rates. I want price of eggs to come down. You know, since that's
they're high.
And if that means we just kind of coast along like we are for another year, what's the harm in that? I mean, that's Frank's opinion.
Yeah, I bought a half dozen eggs this weekend. I looked just to see what it was. It was $4.53
Right.
for 6 eggs.
Which is crazy. Raised chickens.
Over $9 a dozen. Yeah.
I looked into it. Okay, so
And here at Easter time of all time.
of all times. Okay, so moving on to some other topics that are going. Oh, before I move into this one, school choice. We talked about a little off camera.
Dead.
Dead on our side.
Dead. So we're really close to dead.
Yeah.
But it's dead.
It's dead.
And do we think that anything's going to happen with it at all? What does your crystal ball tell you, Representative Newman?
It's going to be dead.
It's going to be dead.
I agree.
Nothing this year.
I don't think so.
It can't get through the Senate.
No.
We would have to amend the Constitution, right?
Well, there's a
To
way
be-
around it.
Well, if you're going to full school
Yes.
choice where you're going to private schools, it has to be amended.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that would be a vote by the people, and it wouldn't
Sure.
pass.
And that's what should happen. If that's what they want to do, if that's truly what they want to do, then go ahead and do the constitutional amendment, change it, and let the people vote on it. One thing about letting the people vote on it, you'd find out whether or not they wanted school choice or not. You'd find out real quick.
Right. And I think people don't want the population to vote on it because they know it would be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, is that?
And again, that's not a lot of states have done that. You listen to the news, you would think that every state's done, they have.
Right, and they have.
Some states around us have.
The states around us have, but they don't have that in their constitution.
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, we had a senator call the chair that knows the Speaker of the House in Arkansas. And she called him and said, how are you going to fund it? We still can't figure out all the funds and how to do that. Can you? And he said, well, I don't have a clue. People wanted it, and we passed it. She said, you passed something not even knowing how you're going to pay for it? He said, we did.
Where's the sense in that?
None. Zero.
You pass legislation that you have no vehicle to fund it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't, that's a recipe for disaster.
Well, it's a populist vote.
Sure, that sounds like somebody won't get reelected.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like what was good for the people.
Right.
And that's in Arkansas.
Yeah. Maybe
Governor Sanders.
maybe they have figured it out by now. Is Huckabee
Huckabee Sanders, Governor
Yeah.
Sanders, Trump's first press secretary, who's a very smart lady,
Yes, she is.
but I can't imagine
And
that they
let me
would-
tell you, Arkansas has done a lot of things right, and we've even copied some of their things.
Why would they do
And they've
that?
copied a lot of ours too.
Right.
I don't know why they did that. I hadn't figured that one out yet.
Another one I saw on this weekend was running for governor of Florida, Byron Donalds, and they're big on school choice. They
They're trying to pass it as well.
have something now, but I don't know exactly to what extent. But they're talking about opening it up.
I think Jeb Bush was pushing that, wasn't he?
So we shall see how that shakes out. But I'm glad in Mississippi.
But maybe
Yeah,
we
right
need
now
to see
it's-
how they're funding and how
Right.
it works, since it's a dead issue.
I'm
Looks
with
like
Representative Newman. If you want to go to Pearl schools, move to Pearl.
That's it.
Just move here.
Yeah.
We're building some nice, pretty new homes. So come on in. You're all welcome. Come on over.
And I'm getting emails and texts, mixed emotions on the homeschool kids being able to participate. I'm sure the ones I'm getting saying they should are the ones that are homeschooled. Participate in extracurricular activities such as football, basketball, band, whatever.
Right.
Uh,
If you want to participate, then go to Pearl School.
yeah, and of course their argument is we pay school taxes.
Right.
That's not the point.
That's not the point.
I know, but that's their argument.
I think it's a weak argument. I would be on, I'm not for that. If you want to homeschool your kids, fine. This is coming from a person who went to a private school and a public university. My parents paid taxes for me to go to a public school, but they didn't. They sent me to a private school.
Well, I did just the opposite. I went to a public school and went to I went to a
Right.
public school and a private university.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't even a university then, Mississippi College.
Mississippi College, right.
Mississippi Christian starting next year.
Correct. But I am not for allowing that. If you want to participate in that, then go to Pearl School. Now, if you have your reasons for wanting to homeschool your child, that's great. I think you should have that right. But it doesn't mean that you get to stick your child. To me, that's a problem. The children are going to be used to seeing those kids daily and then not go to school with them. It's going to be awkward and odd.
Yeah.
And then you're going to create a whole nother dynamic.
But I think
and
that
people aren't.
I think that issue's dead as well, isn't it?
I would hope so.
Y'all kill that one too.
I think so.
Well, good.
I think we did.
Wonderful. All right. So.
I'm not on the education committee, but I'm pretty sure it's dead.
All right. So let's touch a little bit on early voting, because a couple of bills have been kind of pushed around. Representative Newman
Okay,
had
so
one.
I had a bill. I had an early voting bill, and Senator England had one. We were dealing with redistricting when it was time to be dealing with bills, and I told the chairman just shove mine aside, and we'd take up Senator England's when it come over. It's very similar language. There wasn't much difference. So they passed Senator England's bill out of the Senate, and the senator and the governor didn't like it when they passed it, so he had words about it. And anyway, I understand what he doesn't like. This is the issue that the governor has. So what happens in early voting? The way it works is, if you go in Rankin County to vote, when you know everybody in Rankin County knows this. When you go in Rankin County to vote, you hand them your driver's license. They put it on a scanner, and it scans it, pulls up your information, and it's you. The computer knows it's you, and that's the end of it. Well, and a lot of the other counties, they have a system where you walk in, hand them your driver's license, they type the information into the computer, It doesn't read it. They type it in, and then they give you your ballot and you go vote. The problem with that is that in those other counties, some of those other counties, who knows whether or not they're just going to let people walk in with other people's driver's license or whatever. There's no way to control it. In Rankin County, it's controlled because when you hand them that driver's license, there's you and and it's scanned in. When you type it in, you don't know. They could be playing all kind of games. That's the governor's concern, is that they would play games with it. And I get that. I understand that. I think most circuit clerks wouldn't allow that to happen. Some of these election commissioners I don't know about.
Right.
That's just being honest. I don't know. I don't know whether that could happen or not, but it's possible. So that was the governor's big concern. So the bill that came over from the Senate into the House has now been amended with a strike all. That means all the language was taken out of it and new language was put in. And it only deals now, even though the title still says that it's early voting, the bill only now deals with absentee voting. And what it does is it says that if you're going to absentee vote and you meet all the criteria, and when you go into the courthouse, rather than signing an envelope and folding it up, sticking it in an envelope, you're not going to do your ballot and you're going to run it through the machine. The machine will hold it until election night, and then it will be counted. Okay, so that's what we did to the bill. We also added it so that right now it says that I can't remember the exact language, but the language about being out of town, that you have to be out of town for it not to do it, but you can also be working. So what we've done is simply said that if you're working, then that's a legitimate reason to vote absentee. So that's what the bill does now.
Okay.
But early voting, the way it was, is not passable right now.
Okay.
Gene, remind me of something we did last week. Last week we honored poll workers.
Yep.
And we had that have been poll workers 50 years or more.
Wow.
And we had probably 30 or 40 come out on the floor, and we recognized them and thanked them. I think one lady was like 64 years.
Yeah, that was
No way.
that was Representative Joey Hood's mother.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
She has over 60 years.
64
To
years.
those people, I want to, if any of them are watching this, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
no
much.
kidding. Thank you.
To all the poll workers, period.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
talking about a
but
thankless
It's
job.
a thankless job.
That's it. So the ones that's fixing to work for the city of Pearl in this municipal election, thank you, because it's a hard job. You start early and you go late. It don't pay anywhere near enough to compensate it.
No.
They have to do it because they want to.
Well, the early voting issue, nationwide polls, most people don't want it. You know, they don't want early voting. Absentee voting is one thing, but early voting, where you've got a month to vote in the federal election, is ridiculous. I am not an early voting proponent. I am let's make a voting day and have a holiday if we have to, so that you can go exercise your right. Voting day holiday. Let's move all these elections into one day each year, and that's a holiday. And you vote. You can go in and vote unless you have to vote absentee for sickness, working offshore, serving overseas, something like that. But the early voting, in Frank's opinion, is dead. There's no early voting. I'm for paper ballots and
Scan them.
scan in a paper. You got a paper ballot and you can verify it. I'm for that, and I'm for one day voting.
Yeah,
Frank is.
We've had a lot of bills dealing with elections and voting this year. One of them that we just passed, it may have been a House bill, but on county election, not city, but county election, not state, but only on county, it said, let's see, how was it worded? That if you have, say you have a Republican and a Democrat and then 2 or 3 independents all in the general election.
That's on any election. That bill's on any election.
Yeah, oh, well.
Especially the presidential election. Because this last election, the confusion
Well-
was, this is what caused the bill. The confusion was, the Democrat was listed first, and then there were some independents, and then the Republicans
were last.
Were last.
Right.
So the way it's going to rank it is now is it's still in alphabetical order, but it has to be parties first and legitimate parties. That have candidates normally on the.
Well, this one, the top two will have to run it off unless, if you got 6 people in it, the way it is now, if somebody gets 48% and the rest of us divided all the
Oh,
other,
you're talking
he
about
has
a
to.
different bill. I'm sorry, I thought you
Yeah,
were talking about
no,
that
this is a
bill.
different one. In the county, they have to run it off now. First and second have to run it off. That one you'll be seeing.
Have to get 50 plus 1.
You do. And
So you could have 15 different people running, 1 Republican, 1 Democrat.
yeah, well,
And
people,
then, and then 9
somebody,
independents.
someone could win with 25% of the votes.
Sure.
Well, that's
And
like the municipal. That's the way the municipal election is. And that's
it
what you're
is,
gonna
and that's a
see,
different
and-
code section. And
and-
we haven't had,
and,
we
uh,
didn't mess with cities, but there was a bill for counties only.
You're going to see that in Jackson because you're going to wind up with a Democrat, a Republican, and then you got 3 independents. So
Correct.
you're going to see somebody win over there with 35% of the vote.
Right. Because
Yeah.
it's just popular.
Yeah, and that's, yeah.
And that's all you have to have.
But there was a lot of complaints about someone winning an election with 25% of the votes. So the top two in county elections.
Right.
Also in counties, we've changed, and you guys, I think, it may have been your bill. I mean the House bill. I don't know, but they now have to do campaign finance reports,
Good.
and they're supposed to have been doing them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
But now they'll disqualify them if they don't do them.
yeah, and they're fined, and it has to be given to the Secretary of State, and you can pull it up on the internet, just as you can statewide
Or federal.
yeah,
Right.
or federal or legislative.
Right.
But now cities and counties both will have to be filed, and they like you said,
Becomes
they can be
public record.
disqualified. Well, we had one in Jackson where someone hadn't filed in 5 years.
Right.
And you don't know who's giving them money, who's supporting them, and I think that's important. And not only that, where are they spending their money? We have to do that. We've always had to do this. But the cities and counties kind of skidded by on that.
It's some of those shenanigans.
But
and
they're
things
going
that go on.
to have to report
Right.
now.
That go on. Truth in elections, we need that.
Yes,
Okay.
transparency.
Transparency.
That's the big
totally
word.
agree. All right. So one that I happened to list that I thought was kind of interesting was a bill that was coming out of the Senate that went over to the House was this AI evaluation committee. I think you call it the study and evaluate artificial intelligence applications, risk, and policy recommendations, an AI task force. You guys passed it. You guys are debating it.
Okay, so when last year when Representative Jill Ford got appointed to the Technology Committee, and Senator Bart Williams got appointed to the Technology Committee in the Senate, both of those people were bound and determined to lock down AI because it was bad. It was not a good thing.
Right.
Well,
They've since changed their mind.
they have since, after Chris Chisholm has educated them both about what AI does and what we're doing with it in the Pearl school system, and all that's happening with that. They now want to decide the best way, if anything, that needs to be done legislatively with AI. One of the big concerns is when you take AI and you take somebody's image and put them doing something that they didn't do,
or saying something they
or
didn't
saying
say.
something they didn't
Right.
say, or something like that. So that's a big concern, and the right response to that is something we need to look at. But they need to figure out the best way to do it that it doesn't harm anything. So. Chris Chisholm has given them a really good education, and he's had to catch Scott Delano up now that Bart Williams has changed committees and they've moved Delano into that committee. But he has helped a lot with that issue. So anyway, this committee would look at the best way, look at what we need to do legislatively, if anything.
And I as Citizen Frank, like AI, appreciate where I think it can benefit, but I, with you, don't want it doing something that would harm an individual, that would take like pictures of people and make it look as if it was real, audio recordings. Like there are regulations that need to be put in place, and I agree with this committee.
I saw on TV, I don't remember, 20, 60 Minutes, whatever, but this lady, probably in her 20s, just read out of a book to someone. Mm-hmm. And then they took her voice and called her mother. And that AI, the computer, talked to mother, and mother did not know that that was not her daughter talking to her.
It's scary.
It is scary.
It's scary that we're capable of doing that. But I think it has its place.
It has its place.
I think it's wonderful.
The real question is, it's moving so fast, it's changing so much, and we're talking about weekly, not monthly, not
right. No,
especially not yearly, but it's changing
thing.
so much, so fast.
Right.
The proper response, by the time you implement it, may be dust. It may be nothing.
Does this really just need to be a federal issue?
I don't know. The federal government never will figure this out.
Or do we need to leave it in the states? I mean, I think it needs to be a federal issue where the federal government needs to come up with some regulations, even with state input, but I think we have to regulate. I think, number one, our country needs to be the one developing AI so that we can determine the direction that it goes, number one. Number two, I think we need to regulate it on a federal level.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to have some guidelines for each state and let each from the federal government and let each state take it from there. Yeah, I think so.
That would be Frank's opinion. But I'm going to follow this committee. I hope it does well. I mean, you mentioned Chris Chisholm, our superintendent of Pearl Schools. They do a fantastic job over there. They have incorporated AI in the school system, and that large language model that they're using, that they're teaching what they want that language model to do. And he has a wonderful presentation on AI and how this works. I know other school districts are interested in following his lead. Now, you guys don't use any AI in legislation. Should we? Should we?
I do.
Well,
I mean, Chris Chisholm's taught me enough to be able that when I need a summary of a bill, I just load the bill into Chat GPT and it'll give me a summary just that quick.
Just that fast.
It'll tell you what questions to ask.
It'll give me places to look for issues. In other words, let's say I'm trying to understand how something works in a bill, and it'll give me places to go outside the bill. In other words, to references that I can pull up to look at to find how to understand it, get a better understanding.
And legislators are using it to write speeches as well as legislation. And it'll also compare what you're talking about. It'll compare to what other states have done, just like that.
Right. So it has a place.
It does have a place. It has and the other things, I mean, that's just what we use it for. I mean, other places, I mean, I would think our legal services is going to start using it. I can't imagine them not start using it, because it makes it so much faster and so much easier to do legislation. So, but lawyers are hard-headed, so they.
No,
I didn't say that.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Well,
they try to outlawyer each other. I get real tickled.
Sure.
And I can't imagine AI getting involved in all that outlawyering each other.
Look, well, I think Hollywood has scared a lot of people with this.
Yeah.
You know, the movies and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
Have really just petrified a lot of people. Now it's not without the realm of possibility. I mean, with statistics, I can prove anything is possible, but still, I think Hollywood has scared most people away, thinking that it's Terminator and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Terminator scared everybody.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to show up and want to kill you one day. And he's really a machine from the future. I don't see that happening. But I do want to see some regulations put in place, and I would like to see.
AI will also tell you on an issue what % of your constituents are for or against an issue.
Yeah, but it won't tell you what stock to buy.
You tried that?
And it won't tell you the winning blackjack number or the winning lottery number. It won't give me any of that stuff.
Well, you're just not asking the right question yet. All right, so moving on. Had one other one that I really was interested in. I think that other folks, and it's just because it's what I deal with on a daily basis, but Senator, tell me about this Mississippi Emergency Communications Act that you guys passed.
Yeah, it's a study committee. Again, you know, I've been saying get ready for a hurricane because it seems like every 20 years for the last century, every 20 years we have a major hurricane.
We're due.
We're due. This is the 20th year. We're due this year. So anyway, because of the coast and because of the communications failure that we have, is it called Miss Wynn? Isn't that correct?
Miss Wynn. Yep.
Right now, where they can all communicate and all on the same frequency and all of that. But just as AI and everything else, it needs updating. And we found a lot of problems in sound like Paul Newman movie, failure to communicate. And we've had some failure to communicate. We want to make sure when that next hurricane or the next disaster happens that everyone's on the same frequency. That's I feel like Josie Wells here with all these sayings. But I mean that's the bottom line, to make sure that we're where we should be. And in case of a disaster, which will happen eventually. You know, so it's just study committee to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
Okay. Anything to add to that, Representative?
No, that's what we're doing. That's what the bill does. I mean, and it's needed.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically taking the Wireless Communications Commission and turning it into this emergency.
This
or
committee.
adding to the wireless.
Yeah, this is
right. You're adding
this
to.
This is in addition to.
It's in addition to.
This is outsiders looking at it.
Right, which doesn't hurt anything.
No, that's
no, because in 2005, when Katrina came through here and tore everything up on the coast, there was only a few communication tools that were working, and Miss Wynn is built around one of those tools. I know because I worked there.
Yeah.
But that's great, and I think you're absolutely right. We need to reevaluate what we're doing. Technology's changed in 20 years.
Oh,
It's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot.
And they've done a good job. It's just we found a lot of problems. I mean, cities couldn't even communicate with each other because they were using different type radios and different frequencies. We had the counties couldn't communicate with the state law enforcement and or the cities, and we've got most of that corrected, I think, now.
Well, some of that also comes down to sandboxes. You know, some people don't like to play nice with others.
Yeah.
You know, they like to stay in their sandbox, and they want to. You know, don't want to let anybody else play in their sandbox, and
that's probably true.
Well, you got one of the bigger issues there is you got these guys selling this kind of radio, and these guys over here selling this kind of radios, and these supervisors want to deal with this guy, and these supervisors want to deal with that guy.
And,
so,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
And then you end up with some of that. A lot of that.
It was a lot of that.
And then cost. So prohibitively, you know, the radios themselves cost a lot of money.
But in those radios, like a lot of things, you get what you pay for.
You do. But there are just some cities, counties, that can't afford.
That's true too.
To do it either. So and thankfully the city of Pearl is not in that situation. We can afford, and we do. And for our listeners and our viewers out there, the city has donated and is continuing to donate to impoverished cities and counties of our radios that we've replaced.
Yeah.
That still work, that work great. There's nothing wrong with them, and we are giving them, not selling them, we're giving them to these places that just don't have anything,
Well,
so that they can be a part of the state radio system.
Of course, Rankin's quite different from a lot of counties. You've got one county, what is it, Issaquena has 1,800 people in the whole county. We got that many in one subdivision.
Right.
And their whole county, which is
18.
yeah.
Yeah, they just can't.
They just
afford
don't
it.
have the tax
Can't go
money.
out. I mean, I know because I deal with this daily. To put a radio on the side of a fireman. That's not even talking about police officers. We're talking about a fireman. To give a fireman a radio on his hip, the radio itself costs $7,000. Just
Wow.
one. That's now well worth it, because you can take that radio into a fire. It's intrinsically safe. It's not going to spark off gas. I mean, it's designed to do that job. Now you can literally take it and throw it through this wall right here, and it will survive. So I mean, there are reasons why it's built to those specifications. But a place like you said, a county that may only have 1,800 people. Now, of course, their fire department's smaller, but they just can't run out and spend.
But they still have
$100,000.
emergencies.
Right, they still have emergencies. So there's that disconnect there. So hopefully this committee
Will make a difference. I hope so.
will study that. Cool. All right. That was what was on my list, gentlemen. Is there anything else on your
Well,
list that we want to?
We've gone from like 30 in a little over 60 days. We've gone from 3,000 to 3,500 bills down to probably 400 right now.
Right. And we're at the dead stage.
Yeah, and now we've passed a lot. We've talked about. We've passed a lot of good things. Help a lot of people. Again, you don't hear about the good things. You only hear about the bad things that are controversial.
It's been a very successful session, I would say. So far.
I think it has.
I ain't seen nobody get shot or nobody hit nobody physically or cut nobody.
Right, but I mean, I would say it's been a successful session. so
We've
far.
had some few arguments and beyond debates, I think. But yeah, overall, I think it's really been a good session. I think we've accomplished a lot.
The folks that like wine are happy. Like mail order wine. So
Mail order wine now. That's right. Certain wines with a high fee,
Right, but if they want it,
you can get
you
it.
can get it. All right, well, good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where the debate ends up with the tax.
That's
stuff.
going to be the big one.
That's going to be the big one. We'll see how that comes out. And as I said earlier in the program, it's not going to hurt my feelings if it ends up being dead. That would not hurt my feelings right now.
Well, no one likes to pay taxes. Unfortunately,
No.
they do like to have schools and streets and garbage and
Yes,
prisons and mental health and
good
all those.
roads.
right, and good roads. We need all of those things.
Yeah,
But
we do.
let's give everybody a chance to get in office. Let's see how the federal government shakes out. They may surprise us on Medicaid. They may surprise us on infrastructure. They just might.
Yeah.
Let's see how the tariffs work out. See how it goes. Let's just give it a little rest. That's Frank's vote, Frank's opinion. Of course, that carries no weight, but that's just Frank's opinion.
Maybe we need to let you come up there and vote. we're one senator short right now. Maybe we
Right,
can
I'll be
get
there. I'll be there.
You'd have to move,
in a
you'd
few
have to
minutes.
move to Philadelphia.
I'll need to move to Philadelphia. I'm
There you
gonna
go.
stay right
You got to live there 2 years.
I'm gonna stay right here.
And you got to be 25. I'm not sure you qualify.
I don't yet. I will be next year. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all coming in this morning.
Just remind everybody to go vote. Go vote. If you can vote,
We will.
if you can go vote absentee.
April 1st.
Go vote
April
absentee.
Fool's Day, go vote for your mayor.
But if you
Two
can,
weekends
if you
in
can vote
Albany.
absentee, go do it.
We have 2 weekends coming up. Matter of fact, I can tell you when they are. I may not have them written right here in front of me, but Clyde Muse Center is where we vote. One location. Polls open at 7 April 1st. But you can also absentee vote the 2 weekends prior.
And if
So-
you're over 65, you're 65 or older,
Right.
you
can
don't
come
have
right
to
now.
have an excuse.
Nope. You can come right now. Clerk's office is
Go
open
to the
from 8
city
to
clerk's
5.
office, vote.
8 to 5, come in, cast your vote right now. And I'm good with that. If you're a senior citizen, you've earned it. You've earned it. You can come in and vote anytime you like. If you're my age, 1 day voting. come on April 1st.
Stand in line.
Unless you're going to be out of town.
Unless
If
you're going to be out of town.
Yeah.
Right. And if you need to vote on Saturday, that's the last 2 weekends of the month,
Yeah.
Saturday from 8 to noon. The clerk's office will be open for that. So not this weekend, but in 2 weekends, you can do that.
Well, every vote counts.
It does.
Every vote counts. I'm telling you, I've probably said this before, but we've had senators elected by 12 votes or less in runoffs.
Right.
Even, I mean, just 12 votes or less.
You've even flipped a
And-
coin here and there.
well,
We had a House member, two people ran for House, and they had to draw straws.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they tied. We've had alderman's races here where
Yeah,
they've tied,
where they've tied.
and had a runoff and tied again.
Right.
And then flipped a coin or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So every vote
every
is
vote
important.
matters.
It really does.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank
for
you.
the conversation. Look forward to next week's to see how
Thank you.
how it all shakes out. All right, guys, you heard it right here. Best place to get the information. So y'all don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Talk about what's going on in the city of Pearl about voting. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Mayor Wyndham, and I'm thrilled to show you the city creating its own future. Pearl is located in Rankin County, the fastest growing county in Mississippi, and there's no question why. Access to great schools, even better shopping, and unbridled beauty make Pearl a town that truly embodies its name. And with a truly exceptional team of first responders, public safety is another key component of our success. With fantastic housing opportunities from quaint suburban neighborhoods to gorgeous lakefront properties, there's a place for you here in Pearl. You can't beat the location. Right outside of Pearl is the crossroads of the South, where Interstate 20 meets Interstate 55. From here you can travel anywhere within the state or the country. Or you can choose to stay right here in Pearl or experience the small town atmosphere, community pride, and heart of the local residents.
Hi, folks, and welcome back to This Week in Pearl. What a fantastic conversation that was. Really enjoyed getting to catch up on what's happened over the last week at the state legislature, some of the bills that have passed, even the one that Representative Newman talked about going to the governor's desk for him to sign on the dignity and safety of women in prison. Definitely something that's needed. I hate to have to think that we have to legislate stuff like that, but obviously in the day that we live in today, we have to do that. Also, the conversation about AI and the study committee for that and where that's going, definitely an eye-opening thing. So it was a great conversation. Appreciate those two gentlemen coming in, spending some time with us on that. All right, so now what's going on in the city? Well, guess what we have coming up soon? In just a few weeks, you get to vote for your leaders here in the city of Pearl. April 1st, the polls open at 7 a.m. at the Clyde Muse Center. We vote in one location for city elections. That way it keeps it really easy for everyone. It starts at 7 a.m. that morning, goes to 7 p.m. that night. If you need a little bit of assistance getting in, just park in the parking lot. Golf carts will come by and pick you up, take you right to the front door where you can go in, vote in your precinct, and then they will take you right back to your car. So it's fantastic. If you need to vote absentee, or if you need to vote absentee, there are 2 Saturdays coming up that you can do that on a weekend if you need to. March 22nd and the 29th from 8 a.m. until noon. You can vote in the clerk's office absentee on those 2 Saturdays. Or if you're over the age of 65, you can vote right now. You can come into the clerk's office starting at 8 in the morning until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. That is for citizens that are age 65 and older. You can vote right now if you would like to in the clerk's office. Come in and take care of that during the week. Also, Pearl Day is coming up April the 26th. Going to be a fantastic start to that Pearl Day where we have all kind of arts, crafts, merchandise, food vendors, all of those things in the park that's just recently been renovated over the last few years. Our city park is a wonderful place. If you haven't had the opportunity to go to the park and see all the amenities that have been upgraded and done, you definitely should do that. But Pearl Day, April 26th, starts off in the park. Going to have Pearl Jams there. Zach Bridges will be there. Big Earl from Pearl will be there, singing all day in the afternoon. And then there's all kinds of things going on. Then make your way over to Trustmark Park, where we're going to have free concert with Bret Michaels, and Warrant will open for him. So it's going to be a great rock party this year with Warrant and Bret Michaels from Poison. It's going to be a fantastic. Make sure and bring your lawn chairs. And I also believe there's a clear bag policy for that as well. So lots of things happening coming up very, very soon. You don't want to miss any of that. And remember, on April 1st, to go vote. Very important that you exercise your right to do that. Anyway, I'm Frank Hutton for the City of Pearl and This Week in Pearl. Enjoyed visiting with you guys this time. And until next time, we'll see you. Have a good week.